I'm Mr. James.
And I'm Mr. Richie.
And we are the
Educators.
Educators. Episode 13, show 52, and we're green.
Green, yeah.
Yeah, that's my change of the colors. I actually looked through the different slides, and a couple times I kept the same color. You know, slides. I actually changed, I think, every single slide in this one, so
All right.
Yay. How's the week been for you?
Stressful, busy,
Yeah.
and chaotic. And we talked about conferences last week, right?
Yeah, a little bit, but we've already
Yeah.
had that one, so
But
yeah.
This week was the actual conferences. Like we talked about it last week, but this week was the actual conferences. And like, you know, as UA teachers, we don't have, you know, the busiest conference schedule. However, when people reach out to UAs, it's always bad. You know,
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, my child loves your class, you know, and I know those kids are out there, but like we just hear from the people that are like, my child got a bad grade. What did you do?
Yeah.
Like those things, like, you know, so it was that week. We only had, you and I were dragged into the same one, but it's over, water under the bridge at this point. But
apparently I teach Eastern medicine. So
Yeah.
I'm just telling, alarm anybody out there, if you're alarmed, it's okay. I'm just going to teach some Eastern medicine because that's what I do when I do a yoga move in class.
Yeah.
I teach Eastern medicine by doing yoga moves, an Americanized thing that it's been Americanized by now.
Yeah.
And people use it as an exercise, and it is not a religion, although some people try to blend it with Hinduism, which is something that's happened for centuries, but we've pulled it away and made it into an exercise, and it's more like a Pilates thing now.
Yeah. But it's healthy. You're not aligning chakras in the classroom. You're stretching and just getting kids moving and listening to music and different tempos and things like that. And it's unfortunate when, a parent sees a little edge to put their lever on.
Oh yeah. That's how I was like, what?
Like,
you're teaching my child how to speak in Spanish? No, I was doing Zumba, and some of the names of the dances are in Spanish because they came from Latin America. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, you can't do that. I don't want them to be bilingual.
It's
like, they need to only speak my language.
And it's only because you're using new material, because if as a music teacher you teach Italian basically all the time, and so it's like, oh, you don't mind when I'm talking about a glissando or arpeggio, whatever, forte versus whatever, and it's like, no, as soon as you mention something that's like, I don't know, it's just a little bit out of the ordinary or whatever, you're gonna get some flack. And we don't even have room for this probably in today's podcast, but I had a flat earther challenge me. So I mean, Mr. James teaches music and he's getting flack for teaching Eastern medicine. Well, same week I'm getting flack from a kid relaying a message from his father that can't go to space, kid, the earth's flat, and it's because it's flat, you can't go to space, because everyone knows that. And like, I didn't even follow up on that question, but it's man, I'm teaching rocketry, I'm teaching aeronautics, I'm teaching how things fly through the atmosphere. And part of teaching about the atmosphere is that the higher you go, the thinner it is. And well, apparently some people think that the earth is flat. Not only that it's flat, but because it's flat, you can't go to space.
The funniest thing is, online before was someone said, someone was, arguing with the flat earther, and flat earther goes, hey, he goes, the guy goes, listen, I can argue with you all day about the earth being round and stuff or whatever. He goes, but there's only so many of you. And the flat earth person goes, we exist all around the planet. And he says, say that sentence again slower. All around. Really?
Yeah, we have members around the globe. Wait a minute. What?
Say that again slowly.
The word globe. Can you look that one up? Can you just look globe?
Flat? Is that flat? We have members. We have members all across the plane.
Yeah.
I should have said that.
We have members across the disc. Okay.
Yeah. And some of them fell off the side because they weren't looking.
They're hanging on the turtle shells down there.
So sorry, everybody. We might be a little aggressive tonight because we're talking about some hard truths.
Hard truths. Yep. And hard truth is like me wearing my pajamas right now because I
Ooh.
just realized that I'm wearing my pajamas and I didn't go
You
change
have a
because
hoodie on your pajamas?
my pajamas are hoodies. Like that's, but I have a
Where?
hoodie and either flannel or Adidas pants pretty much. And
Yeah, I mean, I'm
no,
totally wearing that as well.
yeah,
I'm not wearing
comfort
my.
wear.
Sometimes I wear my. I have some jockey. I guess I still call them leggings. So
Yep.
what, everybody? I've danced
So
ballet
what?
for 20 years. I dance. I do
Yep.
yoga, but I work out like crazy all the time too. I'm doing Tabata tomorrow morning. Whatever. I can wear
Nice.
stretch leggings.
You're,
They're comfortable. I could
I'm
be naked below this. You don't see this.
yeah, I am. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm
Too cold
comfortable.
down here for that.
Yeah, I need to keep like, ooh, gotta warm those things
No,
up.
but the hard truth is that I'm wearing this because I normally try to wear either a collared shirt or at least attempt something for the camera, but there was like a hint at this at the end of the of our slideshow is that there's not a whole lot of you out there, and so for those that that are gonna watch this in the future, the hard truth is that right now as we're recording this, we have like 1 or 2 viewers usually every week,
I think it's
and
one, and
that's a
her
hard
name's
truth.
Sarah. Hi,
Yeah.
Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know if we have
Yeah.
anybody. But
Oh, I thought you
if
were
you're
legit.
listening, if you're listening to this, anybody, please, there's comments on YouTube. There's some way to get in touch with us podcast wise, or
Yeah.
I don't know how things work. And I keep getting offered to post this on Facebook and Instagram and all this stuff, which I don't do a lot of anyways. And hey, I'm reading
I
a
don't
book
need
right
any
now
more
that says
time.
nobody should do social media because you need to
Yeah.
get in and do stuff and do some hard, deep work. The book's called
Yeah.
Deep Work, by the way, and it's a hard truth. But
I like
another
it.
hard truth is COVID sucks. And it's
COVID
still here.
sucks. It's still here. Yeah. I like this picture though of the vaccine. Yeah,
Contains no
absolutely. I wonder which one that
preservative.
is. What's that?
I love it. Says contains no preservative because we know
Yep.
those that are get
Oh
upset.
my
Is it contain
God. That's
preservatives?
yep. And so and
Thimerosal. Oh no.
yes, I know. So like that's the thing. It's like so like thimerosal I think is like the methyl version of mercury or something, like
Yeah.
methyl mercury, and it's like, oh well, that's obviously mercury, and it's like, all right, well, let me ask you a question. Do you drink alcohol? Like usually, a lot of people say yes, some people don't, but
Yeah.
it's like, all right, or of alcohol. Okay, well, ethyl alcohol is the beverage that we drink, and it's a mild poison that tricks our brain and gets us into euphoria or relaxation, or sometimes straight up blackouts and anger. But methyl alcohol will kill you, make you blind at
Yeah.
best. And so it's like there's a huge difference between chemistry and anyone who thinks that thimerosal or mercury in the vaccines is this huge big terrible bad thing, you don't know enough. And so that's where your opinion is based from. But anyways, back to the stats, because we're talking about hard truths. We are on an uptick, a solid uptick. I think I remember seeing Maine getting as low as like 170, and not a couple weeks ago on the show. I remember seeing about 170 cases, and we're up to 228 cases. By the cases, I mean average every day.
Yeah.
So today, the average, we're not factoring in, the exact count, because the count is still growing. It's still today. So, but the average for today is 228, which last week at this time was 197. And in Maine, population of 1.3 million, rural area, that's still too many. That is way more than the flu, way more than the cold. This virus is serious. And to prove it, in the United States, we're also on an uptick.
Yeah.
So it's not just locally here. Like obviously here we have a huge differentiation between the people that will wear a mask properly, the people that leave their nose hanging out as a symbol, and or even in schools will remove it to talk, or something like that. And so in the United States, 66,000 people on average today will get the coronavirus or get notified that they have the coronavirus because they got tested. And so obviously it's not factoring in the numbers of untested people that get, you know, a few symptoms and don't report it. The world also on an uptick. So
Yes.
the southern hemisphere is now going into the winter months. The southern hemisphere has had the best luck with the coronavirus over this whole year, just because of the timing, the way that it worked out. The southern hemisphere had a better chance than the northern hemisphere, and that's usually the way it works, just because northern hemisphere is more populous. But even with the northern hemisphere coming into summer, warmer weather, more people outdoors, more windows open, we are still on a solid uptick. 536,000 people in the world on average today will get the coronavirus, whereas last week at this time it was 460,000. And so not good, people, not good. And so it's not time to give up on it. I get it. Stuff's crazy. We're half vaccinated. You know, I feel like there's like this whole
It should be sideways, I guess. I
yeah.
need to be the other half. I can't help.
I'm surprised there's not these communities online that have like the half-vaxxed communities. I'm surprised that half-vaxxed isn't a thing, because like there's millions of us out there that are half-vaxxed against this thing. Luckily, you know, we're opting to take the vaccine that shows 100% resiliency against at least one of the variants. I think it was the South American variant, one of the South American variants. And so, you know, I believe in science. I'm betting my life on it, and I'm willing to keep doing it. So I can't wait for that second shot. I get mine April 14th.
Yeah, I think I get
Who's
mine
counting?
a couple days after. We get some trivia on the bottom, though. What's the trivia?
Yeah. This is a confusing one.
Which number wave is this current one for COVID-19?
You know,
yes, everybody.
With us reading these stats every week, we kind of get a good. This is the 7th wave. It's got to be, right?
No, this is they said is the 4th wave.
Oh, okay. No doubt.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was the 3rd.
As you know, April 1st, which I set this for, but this it's actually April 2nd. It's Friday. But yeah, it is the 4th. They said, oh, there's a 4th uptick. And we're like, okay, great. 4th wave.
It's a solid uptick this time, too. It's unfortunate.
Well, let's get some science in the news. Ooh, space. Looks like a meteor hitting.
Yeah. Yes, it does. All right. A meteor may have exploded over Antarctica 430,000 years ago, which actually isn't that long ago, really. I mean, humans weren't around 430,000 years ago, but, you know, early hominids were. And, you know, it's a big deal. I think back in those days, the Antarctica area was actually vegetated. I can't remember when there was a polar shift. I think that it was warmer down there. Hey, if you're watching this and you disagree with me, let me know, because I'm going to say that I'm right until someone tells me I'm wrong. But so they found these metallic spheroid, you know, particles in the snow and the ice, and it makes sense. These things are available everywhere across the globe. If you get a metal detector and you can go out and cover, you know, a large area of some place that has not been touched by man, that hasn't had, you know, the forestry cut through, the earth plowed under, you will probably find these chondrites or these metallic meteoroids, because or meteorites, because it's just hundreds of tons of material come into the Earth's atmosphere every day. Most of it is iron. Iron is actually kind of a special thing in the universe. Iron is where the sun stops. The sun produces heavier and heavier elements up until iron. And then once it reaches iron, iron doesn't want to compress further, and that's kind of when the star dies. And as a result, you know, Earth is born out of the ashes of a dead star, as is our star, the sun. It is just the remnants from a previous star's explosion. The hydrogen collected closer to the center of this whole solar system, and then the heavier elements kind of like formed into the 4 planets on the inside of the solar system.
Yeah.
Then the light gases were out. I know it sounds funny though, like helium and hydrogen, of course, is lighter than like methane and ammonia and stuff like that. But like what the gaseous planets are made out of. But basically, there's just tons of iron out there because that's where stars of this size, which are average size, that's where they stop compressing. They reach this limit, and then the forces that are inside the star can't compress iron into the next element. But when they explode, they do. When they explode, there's, for a few moments, there's pressures that are insane that produce gold and silver and all of these other heavy elements, uranium, stuff like that. And that's what gets scattered throughout the universe. But like here in Antarctica, or I would love to go fishing for meteorites down there because it's untouched. So all you got to do is just bring anyone that gets to Antarctica can just take out a metal detector, a cheap one you get on Amazon, a couple $100, and you'll go to Antarctica and you'll swipe, give it a day, and you'll find good sized meteorites. Like there's just untouched, and it's perfect because it hits the ice, or whatever. And like, so, it seems crazy. A meteor might have exploded over Antarctica, but just 10 years ago, a meteor exploded over Russia, and a similar thing. Airburst.
This is something you should have in your classroom, though. I could see you have meteorites all across.
I don't
probably
want to
can
buy
get those
one.
on eBay, probably too. But...
I know I don't want to buy one because like it's a slippery slide. Like once you want the bigger meteorite and the bigger one, and so it's like I want to find a meteorite. And my daughter wants to find one too. So we do have a metal detector that I have used 2 times, and I'm terrible with it. But we're gonna use it this year, hopefully, and we're gonna go try to find some meteorites just like this because they exist everywhere as small fragments. If you take a scoop of dirt, if you uncover a bunch of things, like if you can separate the silica, the minerals, and like the biological stuff, like decomposed leaf matter, stuff like that, you get rid of all that. Like there's these little spherical, like either glass or metal, and it's stuff that came in from the cosmos, and there's just so much of it littering around the earth that we only care about the bigger ones. Once they start getting like the size of like the human eye where you can appreciate it, it's a big deal. And so therefore we have this article in Science in the News.
Crazy. And I wanted to do this article. It wasn't really an article. Well, I guess it's an article about augmented reality glasses.
Amazing, yeah.
Because we've been waiting when Google Glass came out. I know the first time it came out, I mean, that was years ago. I was like, what? I want that. And it was like $1,300 for developers, and they had nothing really good that worked on it. And it kept going through iterations, how it looked, and sometimes it went like crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And they said they weren't going to sell it. Then they scrapped it. And since then, we've come up with VR goggles, people playing video games and stuff like that. And they have augmented reality on smartphones, of course. But this other company called Niantic is trying to make some augmented reality glasses, and they're kind of taking over where Google left off. And what we're really hoping to do is just have that screen in front of you and like overlaid on everything.
Easy navigable screen too, because like it's one to have a screen, but you can't really change it. Like you don't want to pull up your phone, I guess, and like cycle through things. Like you might as well be looking at your phone if you're going to be navigating something. And so, but to navigate your phone while looking at another screen, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So like that's, I think, a big barrier is the interface, and so I didn't see, does this one have like eye tracking? Like where you?
Yeah, I think they're working on that. I'm looking right at the article right now, and they're trying to expand the path of Google Glass and HoloLens, which is Amazon's thing. Amazon has one, and I looked at that, but it doesn't actually have anything to do with the lens whatsoever. It's just like, hello, Alexa, do this. And then you can control it, basically like having, the watch or something like that. And keep in mind, we have bands, and these bands are going to have
charging.
They're going to have Alexa pretty soon. They said on the band.
Yeah.
And I mean, the bands listen to us all day, so we really don't need that. We just want something where you can look at somebody and it can like tell you who they are. and give
Yeah.
you stats on them, and then in depth of field and like locate things and like look stuff up, and
And
who
so
knows.
one thing is I don't need Alexa on that band. I was trying to think of when I would use it. And it's sort of like the only time that I could think that I would use it is when I'm outside near the fire pit and we've got the Bluetooth speaker,
Yeah.
and it's running what Alexa is doing. And so I could then perhaps, say Alexa, change station to whatever. But that's like the only thing I could think of where I would need to use this where Alexa couldn't hear me. Right now, probably Alexa's going nuts upstairs because she can hear pretty good. But like she's probably freaking out.
My
Like,
current computer, if I said, Alexa, go to this page, I would still have to wait 5 minutes for for it to happen. I
yeah,
always
well,
feel people have these great remote, basically voice command things, and yet they don't have a computer that has like insane amount of RAM and like processing speed to actually do it that fast.
yeah,
So I see, there's a lot of things they sell, and I'm looking at, I'm like, wow, I can switch between screens to do this podcast and such. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Just me clicking my mouse, it takes a couple seconds for it to happen. You see everybody on YouTube and they're doing it and they click a button, split second. They don't tell you they have a $3,000 build on a computer.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah, of course you get that, And so you can have some amazing glasses. I kind of want the computer to be in the glasses already.
Absolutely.
I want it to be like, put these things on and I don't need my desktop anymore. I can just.
I'm not even asking for much. What I would be fine with an 8-bit display.
Yeah.
If it displayed stuff that I wanted to know.
Yeah.
If it displayed like the first iteration of these glasses, like, because there's going to be many iterations, and obviously the feature that I'd like is face recognition and name. Like that's a huge issue,
Yeah.
Especially in our field when we're dealing with 500 students, 600 students a year. It'd be great, but like, if it had an 8-bit display, it had a range finder. It told me the temperature. It could read, like I could read them right there. Like an 8-bit display is all that I need. So
that's what the Terminator, the first Terminator movie, that's what he basically had, was an 8-bit display.
Exactly, and that's what I've wanted my entire life. I wanted Penny's computer book from Inspector Gadget, and I wanted the Terminator 2, or even original Terminator actually, because they had a bunch of good scenes with his visual, like what he saw in Terminator 1 as well, and like. But yes, exactly. That is all that I request. And unfortunately, we're sort of in this era where few people would appreciate an 8-bit display, but I would. I love simplified electronics that perform very well. Like there's a phone.
It's got to run on Linux.
Phone out there. I can't remember what it's. What's that? Yeah. Well, there's a phone out there that it's specifically made to get people off from surfing. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a simple phone with an old school display where it only displays 2 colors. You don't get to surf. Like it does not have Facebook, it doesn't have Twitter, it doesn't have Snapchat, any of that stuff, and it's like ultra simplified. But I refuse to live in the future and pay more for a device that does less. I appreciate their offering. But like if I want 8-bit display in my glasses, I want that to cost less than the HD display in the same case.
Oh yeah,
if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I love the idea of augmented reality glasses, and it won't take much for me to buy one. I was also in line to buy Google Glass. Absolutely was ready to go for it until they showed what it looked like, and then I was like, guys, not everyone that wants to use Google Glass wants everyone in the room to know that you've got Google Glass.
Yeah, that huge thing in the
unless
front.
Maybe you look close.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so strange. And so we live in Maine, and off the coast of Portland, Maine, which is not the capital but the biggest city, was a ship, like a ship that was designed to sell Google Glass, and like really, like it was the strangest marketing stunt ever. Yeah. And so I was so excited. I'm like, it's happening here. I'm going to go to Portland and I'm going to be one of the first in line, and we're going to go check it out. And I'm like, I didn't have $1,300 to spend back then, but I
Yeah.
do now. And like, I would spend it on Google Glass if it actually
Yeah.
achieved the promises that it
We'll make the
had back
money on
then.
this
But yep.
podcast eventually. We'll make the money. We'll make the money.
Yeah.
But that's what we will do, that sort of thing. We are going to move that tech. Our wrists are taken up. I don't know if I can measure anything on my ankles. You know, I don't really think I need to
Yep.
do that. I do need to get a cadence thing for my exercise bike because, you know, I've got an older model, but
This,
otherwise I
these do
might.
not like exercise bikes. They do not
Yeah, it keeps
register.
telling me
Like
it's going to
every
say
revolution.
turn the cadence on, and I'm like, there is no cadence, and then I have to push X, and then I go just time it, and then it says you went
Yep.
zero, you went nowhere, and I'm like, nope, I actually did something, so it logs, and it logs in another thing I do, but quantifying
See,
yourself.
that's another thing. I would pay twice as much for a watch with 2-color display, but recorded everything that I did very well. Like, I don't need a GPU inside of a watch. What I need is accuracy and
Yeah.
like, reliability and battery life. Okay, those are my three.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
we definitely get there with this. Well, the FDA did authorize a 2 rapid at-home COVID tests.
yeah.
I just thought to
one
put
was
that
like
down
15
because,
bucks.
yeah,
Yeah. One was like 15 bucks, one's 30. And it's like, I just saw my daycare provider, her youngest daughter doesn't have health insurance just because of the way that being a child care provider, you have to pay full boat for insurance, you're your own business. And so they opt for not having health insurance, and that child doesn't have health insurance. So they had to get a COVID test because she had sniffles and a cough and all this stuff, and it was $250.
huh.
And so having these COVID tests available in stores, you could have them in Walmarts, and right now you should have them sold at convenience stores and
Yeah.
like just on the candy rack, basically like
And
test yourself.
they sell like
And
pregnancy tests there. Sometimes there's
yeah,
places that sell Plan B. I mean,
yep.
what was Plan A?
Yeah.
Plan A was we're gonna have a good
thinking
time.
about your decision. Yeah, well, condoms, I'd say, but like, and then Plan B is just sort of like, whoops, I forgot that, and it's like, all right, here we go. Well, then you have right next to that the COVID rapid test.
Oh,
You have the 2-pack for $30 or the single for 15, and it's like, all right, well, how sick do I think I am? Do I need to test 2 days or just one? And but it's a good idea. It's just like still $15 to test is like, come on, like that's still too much. Like, that a laboratory test is not costing them $15 or $30 a test. It's a vial and a milliliter of solution, and you mix it with saliva. Like the swab is like perhaps sold for $1, but it's worth 10 cents. Like this just America. This is just so America. It's just this is stuff that no other country in the world has to deal with. And
I mean, they've got apps on one of my watch that does a fever monitor, and it tells me basically my temperature, how it's been for
no way. That's so cool.
The week,
yeah,
and stuff, and it only fluctuates by like point something.
I actually appreciate that feature. Mine, I can watch my heart rate over time. Like I love graphs. Stuff over time is exactly what I like to watch. Although I hate the stock market because it's not based on anything. But that's the only other thing in my life that I get to watch, like these very clear-cut graphs. It's beautiful.
Craziness. So from an educator, I didn't change that. That's the only slide I didn't change.
That's okay. That's all right.
I mean, I guess it's cool. I decided today to talk about professional attitude. There is no need, my thing is there's no need for humans to pretend to be something they are not. Right? You don't need to put on this demeanor. Okay, I'm teacher now. I need to be this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm now talking to somebody else who's in my building who's a teacher, and I need to talk to them this way. Okay, I'm away from everybody. I can be myself and act like a human again, and not like this other sentinel that has to work there. So that whole putting up a pseudo intellectual front, and I get this with a lot of emails, it does nothing for anyone.
Nope.
You know, and we get this when we have a teacher responding to us about and we love that. I told you, parent concern. Someone is concerned.
Yeah.
And they state facts and word it in such a way that sounds like they're talking down to you, but also they're afraid someone's going through their emails and checking everything so that it's handled in like a specific district thing, which I don't believe is happening. But at the same time, it just feels very cold. And to me, it's not in professional. It's not, I wish there's another word, because professional can mean two things. It can mean you're getting paid for doing something, or that you're really, really good at something.
Yeah, like the two starkly different
you can get paid for something you're not really good at, and welcome to public education, because that's rampant. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, to someone with a solid worldview and real world experience, when you communicate in this manner, the recipient will immediately understand what you're doing and just read it as a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
And we all have defense mechanisms. It's just one of those things. But when you wear your defense mechanism on your sleeve and it becomes your personality, it's really off-putting. It's really ingenuine. Like, it's just disingenuine. And it's just like, I don't know. It's sophomoric, I guess. It's like this easily readable thing. You're not fooling anybody except for, maybe if in hindsight there's an investigation of or something, like, because like, you say like they act like they're thinking that someone is looking at the emails.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's usually like a hindsight thing, like, oh, someone might in the future or whatever, look through it. And so I've got to make sure that it's worded this way. And honestly, I'd be swearing a lot if I was in a lot of my emails, but I can't do that, so there's always a little bit of professionalism put into an email. I would put a lot more sarcasm into things, but I want to be clear cut, because tone doesn't translate well via digital text or whatever. And so, but like, it becomes a point when you are just displaying that you're immediately defensive, and it's just like a really, for me, I know exactly what you're talking about in these emails, but like, for me, it's like the same thing as nervous laughter. Yeah. When someone tells you a hard truth, because that's the topic of today's our theme. When someone talks in a hard truth, but then they back it up with laughter, and it just something digs at me. Like, dude, like, you can just be honest. You don't have to pretend that you're just joking, but seriously, I'm really concerned, but just kidding, and it's like,
don't act like that, please. Please don't act like what I expect you're gonna act like. But this needs to happen, but it doesn't really have to happen. Like, just get to it. I don't have time to play games. I don't like anybody anyways. So just go and state your piece. I wish there's a t-shirt that just said that. Like, listen, I do things for children, but I don't really like adults so much. I'm an introvert and I do a lot of hard work, and I just get to the gist of it.
Yep.
Tell me what you need to tell me. I'll do it. I'll fix it. It wasn't my fault. Someone's putting their emotions in the wrong place. That's why they're taking it the wrong way. I calculate my stuff pretty well. But here you go, boom, snub. I'm not going to think about it again. I'm thinking about ideas.
Exactly.
People. That's
my thing I wanted to add too is that, like, in a professional environment. So I wanted to mention this just because I wasn't sure what your intentions were with the professional attitude thing, but my immediate train of thought went to the fact that I came to this job working in education from automotive repair. And when I was working in the garage with a couple of guys, it was like every day their defense mechanisms were on display. And in that sort of environment, you are supposed to dig at each other. And
Yeah.
at any time that anyone shows an iota of weakness, like that little edge that you can get your lever in, you know, these guys, it's like this ingrained thing in the culture of automotive repair. We got to make fun of your coworker.
Yeah.
You've got to just, you know, say the grossest jokes or the most irresponsible things. Like, you just have to be this caricature of a human being. And it's like, I came to education. I had to leave education once and went back to automotive repair, and then came back to education. And each time it's like a culture shock, because
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, even with the situation with current schools, there's still an enormous professionalism jump between what you experience in an automotive repair situation versus a school. But it's like, even in the school, people need to like think about it. Like, one is control your emotions,
Yeah.
and whether it's with the children or the adults that are around, like, you are this memory for these kids. Like, you
Yeah.
are this character that exists in their mind. They 90% will never remember your name in 6 years, but like, you know, when they graduate, you know, but it's like, but they will remember the stuff you said and the things that, you know, the way that you made them feel. And it's like, you know, whether it's an adult or a child, you got to control your emotions around them. You got to be in control of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Emotional IQ, right? And
Mm-hmm.
treat people with respect. And that's, it's, it sounds like a lot, but it's like, hey, hold the door open for someone.
Oh yeah.
Understand that there's more people in your 10-foot space,
And
and
as much
think
as I don't
about
like
them.
people, I'm really respectful to people.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
don't
yeah.
have time for people. I don't think it's I don't like them. I think I just don't have time for people because I have like 1,000 things to do and I never get
Yeah.
them all done. And I'm always like waking up like, oh, can I wake up earlier than this? And I really do want to wake up earlier than this. I'm pushing limits of what my body can handle. It's hard
Seriously.
yawning for an hour while you're working out and be like, I need to stop yawning, but I'm not going to use stimulants and stuff like caffeine to keep myself going every morning and become,
It's
needy.
that situation that, and it helps reinforce the theory that yawning is not a need or starving for oxygen.
Yeah.
It is a ingrained, like a psychological thing. That's a display, you know, it's like this really buried deep in the core of your brain. You know, that's why other animals do it. But like, yeah, it's definitely not a lack of oxygen like people try to say it is. But anyways, you know, we also have to understand our role in society. And I mean
Yeah.
everyone, like, you know, just a point, put a, you know, punctuation mark on this, is like, there's no law in the United States that you have to stand in line. There's no law.
Hmm.
It is not illegal to cut in line. It is perfectly legal to cut in line. But nobody does that because it could quite easily become a disturbance of the peace. It could quite easily become like, there's
Yeah.
consequences and natural consequences, which is also what we're talking about this, the theme of this. But like, your role in society is to exist, and to exist in a manner that does not disturb, if avoidable,
Yeah.
other people, and to just try and be harmonious with your fellow man. I don't even care what country you're in. It's just like, people in general. When I go to another country, I'm still like courteous and respectful of people, because it's just the way. If we were all that way, the world wouldn't be the way it is currently.
Yeah. And I'm going to go to the next slide for
Yeah.
hard truths, but I
Yep.
did want to mention role in society. If your role, say, you're working somewhere and you're working and you treat another person that is in your same line of work, you're at the same level, it may be a different pay grade because whatever, you've been there longer, it doesn't really matter, but you're doing the same exact thing. Could be teaching, could be something like that. You're not an administrator, you're not in a different like pecking order, different hierarchy,
Yep.
but you treat that person like they're lower than you, even though they've got the exact same profession. That makes no sense.
You're a part of a team working towards the same goal, and maybe your exact job isn't the same, but you're like,
Yeah.
you know, let's just say 3-person team, and the three of you are working towards a certain goal, and you all rely upon the other person. like the very idea of treating the other person in this, goal, as less than, like critical to achieving this goal is illogical. It's like it doesn't make sense. Like to attempt to bring people down is really just, you're just self-defeating, mentality. It's like, understand that we're all working towards a goal. Like Elon Musk, I have to bring this up. Elon Musk, he in when he's building a rocket, and you have the propulsion team, you have the recovery team, you have the team that needs to acquire the materials to build these gigantic rockets. Whenever one team gives constraints to another team, usually if one department delivers to you constraints, you sort of take offense. A natural human reaction is to take offense, and you question the constraints.
Yeah.
And what they do at SpaceX is when one part of the team delivers a constraint that affects another team, like let's say propulsion team can't make as much thrust as they were hoping, the other teams need to reduce mass. They need to make their items smaller in order to be able to achieve orbit. The other teams don't get the opportunity. They don't get to say, I think that your calculations are wrong. They just they have to accept that constraint and move forward with it. And it's just sort of like, that's what people do in the space industry, because they work together and achieve a goal. And that's why we can go and land robots on other planets. And meanwhile, we are having an uptick of a pandemic that has been around for over a year. Hard truth.
Yeah, craziness. Well, I listed a couple of these things, but it's honestly going to be just things we've been laying stuff on you, fair listener, or listeners, hopefully things for
fair
a
listener.
while so far. One of the things I mentioned, and this might seem like it's personal, but it should be personal. You should be saying this to yourself. One of my big hard truths, I tell Beta, you're not doing enough. I mean, Mr. Ritchie, you are doing enough.
Well,
in some areas you could probably improve. Many areas I can improve. I want to improve all the time. I want to be on a treadmill right now. I'm not. I'm sitting in a chair.
Yep.
Trying to move my body a little bit, but I'm not going to work out.
I don't take offense to this, because this is how I've managed my life. And I didn't set out a lot of goals in life, but I've achieved 99% of all my goals in life, because I was raised poor and from a struggling, very, unfortunate situation. And I made something out of it, because it was like, all right, I realized that I have a human brain, and all these people that do amazing things also have a human brain. And the reason why we're all called humans is because we are equipped with the same stuff. And, anything that one human can do is repeatable by any other human being outside of disability. So human being, the species, like there's just possibilities. Well, I'd say the brain, okay, that's actually what I mean. Like physically, obviously, there are things that some people can do that others can't, like, strength contests, things like that. But like with the brain, like the brain is what makes the species. In our case, Homo sapiens, the reason why we're called Homo sapiens, like everything about humans is that we understand, we are knowledgeable, we have brains. And so therefore, if there's anything that you want, you just need to try harder to get it. And that's kind of the goal and the methodology that I've been using. Like, it's simplistic, and sometimes it's incredibly frustrating, but it's like, hey, are you not where you want to be in life? Well, you didn't try hard enough, dude. You got to try harder. And it's like a hard truth. And that stuff hurts people. It brings them down sometimes. And it's brought me down, but it's honest. It's just like, whatever your situation is, sure. Like, just to throw out an example, like, what, your friend has two parents. You as a kid, you've got one, and they're poor and they're struggling. Well, if you want the same thing that other kid wants, You just got to try harder. You're not going to wish and have it happen. You've got to go through that work. You've got to go through that effort. And you can, as you say, you can improve something, your schedule, your
Yeah.
life, your job. You know, like there's so many people right now in our age, in their late 30s and their 40s, just like they think that working a job that kills their body or kills their soul because they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
They're producing something that they don't care about. It just kills you. And they think that that's the way life is, and it's not. And, you know,
They
there's
look for
always
being
something.
weekend warriors, right? They're looking for the
Yeah.
weekend. Let's get away from it, and then they come back and they have these tropes they're always saying about, oh, work sucks. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is stupid. I can't wait till Friday. Hey, it's party. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. There's all these like one-liners about like how much work sucks and this sucks and
Yep.
my life sucks and whatever, you die someday. Who cares? And
And it's,
yet, as they get much older, than if they get older, they start to realize like, man, I really should do something, and we don't want to
so
hit that crisis.
I mentioned it earlier that in I was in the automotive industry, and like every day that you stroll into the workplace, there's like all these tropes, like you said. It's just sort of like, like another day in paradise,
Yeah.
like or the one that like crawls up my spine is having fun yet?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
these
yeah,
people
yeah.
that are just like, hey, isn't this miserable? Yeah,
Let's be
and
miserable
so
together. Yeah.
yeah, like, oh my God, like, no, I'm not going to share in your misery. And so when people ask, having fun yet? I say, I should pay to be here. Like, I have these lines that I pull because I've just
I got a
dealt with
little
it
thing
for
I
so
do every
many.
single morning. I walk into a school. I have a lot of people saying good morning to me. I don't say good morning. I say hi.
Yeah.
Say hi. I don't say good morning. It's not a good morning. It
Yeah,
usually is
right.
not a really good morning, and it doesn't mean that I'm miserable. It means that I just don't acknowledge like good
Yep.
morning. Like, did you put your face on yet to smile and be
Yeah.
fake? No, I'm being real. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Like, greetings.
Greetings. I'm here,
Okay.
you're here, we're
I
alive. Let's
greeted
get
you.
to
Let's
work.
go. Yeah. I acknowledge your presence. All right.
I'm
Time to
usually
get to work.
busy lugging something
Yep.
somewhere, and people will be like, can you please stop and say good morning to me and reaffirm that my mask is firmly in the place where it needs to be before I
Yep.
address people that have to see me looking like this, my second skin.
Yep.
That's the whole thing. And that's being fake. Don't be fake.
Don't
Maybe
be
that's a
fake.
hard truth. Don't be fake.
That's
Don't
a
be
hard
fake to
truth.
yourself.
A lot of people really have, like, I mean, we are all caricatures, really. Like, we all have a different interpretation of who we are than what
Mm,
is on display. I have no idea what I look like to other people, and honestly, I could
huh.
probably improve by
As I float my
considering what
eye.
I look like to other people and like what I act like. But honestly, I am one person, and I whether I'm talking to a child or an adult that's older than me, I am one person. I don't put on any facade. I don't know how to. It's just not a thing that I'm born with. And it's just sort of like, this is who I am. I can't really handle doing anything else. The only thing I do in school is I don't swear. And
Yeah.
that's a really hard thing to do.
I am a professional, in some point actor. Because I do have a degree in acting as well. That's something I probably never mentioned in this podcast. But at the same
That's
time,
awesome.
when I do this, I take kids on, and kids know I'm turning into a character.
Yeah.
I let them go, hey, here's a secret. I'm going to be turning into a character right now, and you guys are going to watch me transform. And then they get excited, like, wow, you can turn into this. What the kids don't know is some of their teachers are
Yes.
not the same person that they see in class. And
Yep.
sometimes they may be let down, like I was when I was younger, when I saw a teacher talking in a different way and acting like a completely different personality than the person that was my teacher in my class. And I was like, who is that person? And then they
Was it
see
more
me, quick, put my face on. Okay, hi, hi. What's going
Oh,
on? You're
yeah,
not
yeah,
supposed to, and like, you shouldn't be around here. You should go that way so I can turn back into this other person that you don't know about. And it
yep,
just, for as a younger child, I mean, it just devastates me. It's heartbreaking. And
yep,
I said to myself, I never want to be that person because I think that's a huge letdown. I want children to know that when I want to become a character, I become a character. And you
right.
can see me transform into that. And guess what? Someday you can become that character. You can become different characters as well.
Yep,
You
that's
have
cool.
control of this instead of, you know, because there are people everywhere that are just turning into characters. They're characters, and they're going through life. That's their survival. And it's unfortunate because they're going to wake up someday and realize, wow, no one knows who I really am because I've never shown anybody who I really am. And people are treating me bad because they don't like the character I've become.
Yep,
But I'm yelling, please, I'm really this person. And no one's going to listen because you cried wolf.
yep,
So,
absolutely. Like when I teach, I am genuinely excited about the things that I teach.
yeah.
And it's I can't even imagine, like, luckily I can't think back to these grades because we teach elementary school. So I can't think back, and I wasn't emotionally aware enough to be able to gauge my teacher's genuine response to anything. But I demonstrate to children. I've done this ever since I've been in education at all. I demonstrate what a man looks like when they've got their stuff together
Yeah.
and they are passionate about something, they're honest, and they um don't hide behind a character,
Yeah.
like, and so, like, when I bring a class out to launch rockets, I'm excited, and I'm running around and I'm crazy, and I'm like, and when I'm stressed out, I tell the kids, I'm like, listen, I'm having a bad day. Let me tell you, this other class did not listen, and it's in your best interest to listen, because
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's fair to tell the people that are in my classroom I'm not having a good day, and so uh you know I'm not saying that I'm the model or anything, but, like, honestly, it's not that hard to be genuine. And the hard truth is that, like you right here, excuses are the participation award for not doing anything.
I love that.
I like that. Well, people that are like, well, I've got to I've got to be tough in front of these kids because, like, blah blah blah. No, like, well, what you're doing, you're taking the easy way out. Um you're just trying to skirt reality by putting on, this extra facade. It's like, it's not necessary. Like, sometimes you might get away with it. Sure, it might be a thing that happens, but, like, the people like you and I that can recognize this stuff in people, it's like you are on display. We all know that you're,
We almost don't know how to talk to them because it's like
yeah.
you have to say to them, okay. And they'd be like, hi, how you doing? I'm going to be like a Stepford wife, kind of like a robot. And I'll talk
Well,
to you
yeah,
this way. And you're like, okay, hi, thank you.
they're delivering their class to us.
Thank you, weird person.
They're playing this character to the children, and now, in order for me to engage that teacher in a conversation, I have to play into that character that they're
Yeah.
displaying, because if I talk to them as a real person, they will be out of character. And, it's like, then they won't break character. They'll stay in the character and make me look like the person that's out of line. And it's like, all right, like, I'm not going to play this. Like, all right, kids, come in. I'm going to ignore this person. Like, come
Yeah. They've
on.
come to me before, and something's happened. I look at the kids and I go, okay, that was
Ooh,
interesting.
come
And
on
then
in here for some relief.
and they can level with me like, yeah, it's pretty rough being us. And I'm
Yep,
like, yeah, well, I just, I'm there for you, and I'm trying to be the best person I can be. Unfortunately,
yep,
I'm in this limited role, and
yep. Here's
sorry,
your
I
30
wish.
minutes, kids. Let me do what I can. Have a
Yeah, I
great
know,
day.
try to solve problems. But I also wrote that excuses their participation award for not doing anything. Also, for those that make excuses, it doesn't matter what you make for excuse and what it's for, but it gives you that, like, I made an excuse and they bought it, and now I'm off the hook for doing something. So it's like you get this award. You didn't earn this award. You're getting a participation award, which is basically an award that everyone gets, and it's just to make sure there's equality, I guess, equity
Right.
for everybody. So participation in war, you're giving this to yourself, like, wow, I got out of doing that. I made an excuse and I got out of doing this.
Yeah.
So now I'm
You
doing nothing.
you get
And
that serotonin.
yeah, and that's basically it. Those that are always making excuses, and people will do. I
Yep.
hear people do this all the time about why they didn't practice in music or why they didn't end up doing something. Someone goes, "You're really good at that." Yeah, I know, but it's just like blah blah blah, excuse, and that's why I'm where I am right now, and why I look this way, and why I've got these issues. And great, keep
Yeah.
going with your excuses because
Yeah.
no one's going to care about that. And even if someone listens, what are they going to say? They're going to say something like, "Listen, I have the secret to get out of this." Okay, you're not going
Yeah.
to like the answer though.
It's gonna
Hard
be
work.
yeah, exactly. It's hard work. And not making any more excuses.
Yeah,
That's
like you get that mirror you're looking
yep.
at, get to clean that mirror first and
Yep.
get a longer mirror. And yeah, you got to start doing some really hard work and deep work as well too. I keep toting that new book, but it's not really a new book, but read that book and I'll yeah. Anyways, you have a rant? I feel you could
I
rant today.
well, like what was it? I had one earlier. What
Flat
was it?
Earth.
Oh, flat Earth. I could. All right.
All
Yep.
right,
Let's do
here
flat
we
Earth.
go.
All right. Flat earthers, you don't make any sense. There's no reason to believe that the earth is flat. Number one, well, things fall downward, which means that there's gravity. If the earth was flat, that would mean that gravity doesn't work the way that it should. And gravity would be unidirectional. Either everything would float in different directions, or like everything would be attracted to the center, which is really what it is, isn't it? Everything is attracted to the center. Everything kind of conglomerates into a ball, and a spherical object is a result of gravity. And the sun wouldn't work. Even a first grader in my classroom discovered that if the earth was flat, it would be daylight everywhere at the same time. And as he put it, everyone would have to go to bed at the same time.
Yeah.
And I have to say to you that if a first grader can figure out that flat earth is ridiculous, you should take a look at yourself and be like, well, maybe there's a few more things I got to realize about the world.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like I mentioned, I had a person that I was I talked with this person and I was like, I don't know. This person is someone that I like talking with and I had some respect for and, you know, uh, helped me teach another student. And it was, something I thought was special. And then one day they said, evolution is just a theory. And they talked about how the earth is probably just around 6,000 years old.
Oh my
And I'm like, there are
God.
rocks outside that are older than that.
Yeah.
And I'm
Like
just like,
every rock.
and they said this in such a way that was like, I am embedded in what I believe. And
Wow.
it doesn't matter if this person fell in love with me and was like, whatever you say, I'm going to believe it. They were like drawing a line in the sand, being like, no, I have these strong beliefs and I don't want to know really somebody that doesn't believe anything that I do. And it's like,
Wow.
okay. And they just kind of like, yep. All
Yep.
right, great.
God,
That
that's incredible. Like,
it's just that one turn where you're like, oh, and this person was a teacher as well,
yeah.
teaching high school.
Jeez.
So on to our last slide.
Crazy. Yeah. We can
Oh,
talk about that all day.
look at it.
Maybe one day we'll talk about that in depth. But
Oh,
hey, we have very few listeners.
and I said truth.
God, that hurts.
Yeah, everybody would love to. I see everybody. We talk as if we have, a huge
I
a
know.
huge amount of listeners. It'd be great to have more listeners. Listen, if we are making you upset, comment. If we're making you happy, comment. If we're saying some things that are like in depth and you're like, hey, I kind of learn a little bit something each week, even if it's Mr. Richie talking about some science thing or my sort of introverted take on the world and psychology, whatever, great. Tell us. Just put anything. You don't even have to write a logical sentence. You see this keyboard right here? If you hit your hand on it, just even with your fist, it's going to be like jitter. I'll read it and we'll respond.
They'll respond, yeah.
We'll respond. We'll respond the same exact way, but with another hand. I'll take my left hand and I'll do that. Yeah, we can have a whole conversation.
We'll speak in the language you understand. Okay.
Yeah. If you're listening to this from another country, if you're listening to this in another language,
Privet, do svidaniya, you know, like
respond to us in these other languages. We love that and stuff. And we won't even know if you're swearing.
Yeah.
We'll do what I did back in days when I used to use chat rooms and stuff like that. You copy part of someone's sentence and you just build it out of other words that look like they'd be good. And you build a sentence until you get kicked off the chat, because I was a place where you guys should get kicked off the chat. One place, though, I kept getting these private messages, and I was like, I hope I know what I said. This will translate. I was like, and all I kept doing is taking part of what this person said and kind of reworking it around, thinking the fact that if someone asked a question and you turn the parts around, it'd be like giving them an answer. Like, how are you doing? You're like, doing? Are you? And I don't know, because
are you doing?
One of them was a Russian one, and I think one of them was not French. It might have been German, but I was like, this is really funny. But
oh man,
I know we should be more cultured than that, but you know,
we're Americans, and we're very cultured for Americans, and you know, trying to speak another language, that's more effort than most people will put in this country. So, you know.
Yeah, I'd love to speak other languages. We have no place to actually use this language right now. Currently. And it'd be extra work with a little return on investment, unfortunately.
Seriously, like if you live in Texas, of course, or Florida, or a lot of places around the United States, there's a lot of incentive to learn Spanish. But like we live in Maine, which I have French heritage, and it is absolutely useless. I have 5 years of French, and I have never, ever walked into a situation where I needed to use French unless I went to Canada. Yeah. It was like, all right, well, how often do I go to Canada? A couple times a decade. Well, all right, not really worth thinking about it. So that's what it is. It is what it is. Up here in Maine, we are pretty sheltered. We talk English, and English with a lot of swears, and
Esperanto. Now, that was going to be a language, right? I think it was a language. That was something William Shatner could speak.
I don't know.
I know, it's really weird. But yeah, anyways, everybody, that's our hard truths. There's more hard truths up there, but we want to give them to you in small segments so it doesn't offend anybody. We don't want to offend anybody ever, but I mean, it's hard not to when you show someone how to do yoga and you're actually teaching Eastern medicine because you showed them how to stretch. Everything's medicine. If I tell you how to breathe through your nose only, I'm giving you medical advice, right?
We're mouth breathers in this house.
Yeah. We only do this sort of thing. We only eat, meat in this house. And we love cholesterol and this and that. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yep.
People are on that road, whatever they want to do, and you just have to let them go. And hard truths, though. Where's the science? Truth means science.
That's right.
Anyways, I'm Mr. James.
And I'm Mr. Richie.
And we are the Educators. Have a good day or night. Whatever they want to have. It's good, right?